Welcome to the first episode of Simplified Spirituality, where we untangle the complexities of spiritual wisdom to enhance the quality of everyday life. I'm Avi, the author of The Art of Not Knowing, Practical Guide to Spiritual Awakening, joined by my co-host, Prakhar, a deeply experienced spiritual teacher and a guide. In this podcast, we're not talking about complicated rituals or abstract ideas. We're simplifying spirituality, making it practical and relevant to your life right now. We will uncover tools and insights that can help you experience more peace, joy, and even a deep sense of purpose. So join us on this journey as we break down spirituality one simple step at a time and discover how it can transform your everyday life. So today's topic, I feel like often when people think about spirituality, they associate it with meditation, and they want to learn about meditation. But what I want to go deeply with you is not about how to meditate, and perhaps we'll touch on that, is the reason for meditation. Why to meditate? Because it's not very obvious, I think, to most people. Think, okay, it's about like relaxing or clearing your mind, but there must be something more to that. And I
Sure.
want to
Yes,
help people to go deeper into this and perhaps make sense of why they need to invest in that. So perhaps you can give me a
right.
few words.
For sure. Yeah, I can give you many words. So, meditation is essentially a tool which people can use for many reasons. Some people use it to calm themselves down, regulate their breath, and calm their nervous system. Some people like to meditate so that they can sleep better because they're having this anxiety or whatever. Or people can use for uh, you can call it spiritual awakening, which is another reason for meditation. So what meditation allows us is to soften this sense of mental concepts that we have about ourselves, that this is me here and then this is out there world, and what do I do with that? Instead, what meditation allows us is really to relax our mind, and you can call it slow down your brain waves. So this is what actually happens. When we slow down our brain waves, then the mind is not active as much, that will recreate these things that you are uh, programmed to do all the time, because we're doing this all the time. We are instantly, in each moment, we are creating a sense of self. Now, if we meditate more and more regularly and also for long periods of time, then what happens is that it rewires with the slow brain waves, it also rewires your brain into giving you this gateway into your true self. So that's why then we can access our true nature, which is bliss, which is love, which is freedom, which is peace. So meditation is just a tool. It's a gateway. Does it make sense?
It makes sense, but I think if I can go a little bit wider on this, when we speak about that self, that the true self that we can discover through I often say that meditation for me, even if you meditate for a minute, just close your eyes and try to quiet the mind, you start to recognize that you can't quiet the mind. And then the question arises, why not? Who is doing the thinking? And that's the moment where you see that you are not the thinker. And that's the moment where you perhaps recognize that there is more to life than those thoughts that cloud your mind. And so maybe you can speak to that. What is that true self?
Yeah. Well, true self essentially is the truth of our being. So, well, there is truth, there's absolute truth of who we are, which we ourselves find out as we go into this journey. So, what you just described is that, okay, even if I meditate for 1 minute and I see that I'm not the thinker in that sense, and I'm before that, then what you're doing is essentially you are utilizing two tools here: one, meditation; other one is contemplation, because contemplation is also a tool to get into the true self that I'm talking about. And one of the most famous ways to contemplate that is to inquire, who am I? Or inquire, who am I not? And there's no meditation needed in that. If you just sincerely inquire, who am I? Or go through the question, who am I not? And if you take it all the way, you will reach your true self also. You will just slip into that. Not because you meditated, but because your mind collapses what it always believed in. So it's really about the collapse, and not in the collapse of the mind, meaning that there are no thoughts. Collapse of the mind, human mind, means that it has nowhere to go. So it basically, you stop glorifying it, and then you basically, the true self shines forth. So that's why you use two tools, meditation and contemplation together, which is a very powerful thing to do. And then we can access this true self. Now we can call it anything, really. Like, you can call it true self, you can call it no self, you can call it whatever you want to do, like God or creator or universe, or yeah, whatever word feels better. But ultimately we are pointing to the same thing, which is the essence of our being. You can call it awareness, you can call it ultimate, yeah, like beingness, awareness, love and light, whatever you want to call it. But ultimately, we are touching upon the same essence that we are all made of, which is why we call that we are one, we are united. Everything comes from one source. And this recognition comes obvious, more and more clear when we do this, what we just described.
Why do we need this recognition? What is the benefit of recognizing that we are not the thinker, we are not the body, we are not the name, which ultimately I think meditation leads to? This is the tool for me to kind of see that,
Right.
because it's very hard to say to someone, you're not the body. Or, I mean, sometimes people get it, but often they get it intellectually, but they don't experience it.
Right.
So yeah.
So your question is, why do we need to realize that? Yes.
Yes.
Right. Well, the thing is, we don't need to realize it. It's just that it is our destiny to realize it. Now it's up to us when we realize it. So you can say that there is no particular reason, although I could also say that this is the ultimate true desire of every being. Ultimately, every person will recognize that this is what they want. And also, one thing I'll add to that is that when we recognize this, there's nothing more fulfilling than that. More and more. I mean, because this is also a gradual, you can say, progression of our recognizing ourselves. Is that like sometimes we may have a glimpse of that, and then the process becomes, okay, how much can we access more and more of that? So it's a journey, but yeah, this is if you want a reason, then this is the reason, that there's nothing more fulfilling than that, because everything else is essentially an illusion. And and when we recognize that, then we are not stuck in that illusion by some some cycle of programming that we are this, and then we have to do this, and then what about this and that. Like these things, we can still live in this world. It's not about ignoring the world, but it becomes more and more like you recognize yourself, and you just are that. And when you are that, then illusion become kind of like your game to play, which that's why it's so fulfilling. That's why it's just like you're on superpower now. Like you have a superpower. Feels like that. So this is why, like, this is what we seek. Even if we, like, let's say everybody's seeking for something, yes? Like some people want to make more money, some people want to have a relationship or whatever. Everybody essentially, the desire is a distorted version of the one true desire, which is to know yourself. Uh, so that's why, like, we can still pursue those desires. Nothing wrong with that. But recognize that this is what we truly want, and once we get that, then everything else is nothing is more important than that. It's just we got what we truly wanted, or we are getting that more and more what we truly want. And then everything becomes, like, as I said, more optional, more like a play, more like a game, that how much can I do with this illusion? So that's why I feel like, because it's the destiny also of every person. So it's just about when will you know yourself again? So yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but I feel like, again, for the people who kind of starting this journey, for them, this
Mhm.
sounds like a little bit perhaps beyond the scope of their what they can take on at this moment. And again,
Right, right.
it does make sense to me, but I feel like it's more about perhaps first, it affects the quality of our life. Life becomes a little bit more simple. There's no
True.
more drama, no more chaos, at least not in the mind, and we can regulate how we see things through that understanding that we are not that we don't need to be affected by what's happening outside of us. So basically, it's taking a stand on the quality of our life by recognizing that true self that we speak about.
Yes, this is essentially like if you want to make a sales pitch to a normal person, this is the perfect way to go about it. Yes, that your life will be easier, your life will be better, your life will be more peaceful. For sure, yeah. This is I would say, this is a better, you can say, sales pitch. Um,
I want to come back to what you said earlier: is that what we desire is what is the desire to recognize ourselves. So if we want a relationship, it's about that going into who we are. Can you talk a little bit to that, or give me some
right,
more examples of how that works?
sure. So let's take the relationship example. What we're looking for is ourselves. So when we meet another person, it's essentially what we're doing is we're remembering love. Okay, I see this person, and now this person is reminding me of love. I see love in this person. And when I feel loved also, and this is the recognition. Ultimately, what's happening is that the creator is recognizing itself, and the fragrance of that is love. So now people don't realize that, but essentially, this is why we love so much romance, like two masculine, feminine coming together is the union. Ultimately, it's the divine union, which is of the quote unquote separate self with the true self, or you can call it the one creator. So this is what we want, and that's why when either we see a romantic movie or in our own life we connect with someone, then it feels like this, wow, like the like it's just the closest delusion to the ultimate divine union that you can get, because it just represents that, like this is how that union comes together, that you're feeling complete, you're feeling whole, you're feeling loved. um and and then that's why, but because it is also not ultimate union with the creator that we actually want, this is why it also has the tendency to make us suffer. Because, like, okay, now we come together, and if we separate, we suffer too much. Most people suffer too much. Why? Because now it's abandonment, like the illusion of abandonment. This love has abandoned me. I don't feel loved anymore. So why is this happening? Because of all this illusion that we're giving into. As I said, doesn't mean that we don't love others or that we don't make more money, or for example, but it's just to recognize that ultimately, if we have that connection with our true self, if we have that, then everything is an expression of that beauty, of that creative impulse, of that wanting to love others, just share that love. And if there's no object to love, then it's also okay, I'll just be love.
I would hear a lot of objections to what you're saying from people who are just starting this, or perhaps looking at hearing this for the first time. How do we overcome? How do we step into this? Because it seems like you want to step into utopia and not to be a part of this world. Live the Zen life, and rather than to live a life on this earth, that's not the message of spirituality. How
No.
do you step into this idea that like life could be a little bit more at ease when you recognize your true self and that purpose of recognition yourself in the journey?
Right. So this is also the one of the misconceptions about spirituality, is that spirituality, or you can say, yeah, spirituality is not about just meditating or being zen or being a monk. It's really about merging being and doing together. So if there's one aspect of being and there's one aspect of doing, most people are just doing, doing, doing. because they are not coming from beingness. I mean, I'll talk about beingness more. So they're just doing, okay, I have to make money next month, so I just do. I have to feed my kids, I do. I have to do this and that. Like, it's just doing. It's not coming from a sourceful place most of the times, because it's just like surviving. It's just like taking a job. How can I do this and that? It's just doing. And there's lots of chaos in that. Then there's other aspect where you can call it being, where this is where like many spiritual people are, where they are kind of like just meditating. They are in a monastery, or they are in a ashram, and all they're doing is just being, which is a great thing in the beginning, you can call it. Like, as we go on a spiritual journey, they're only being. They're not doing anything, essentially. I mean, they are of course eating food and all of that, but essentially the main thing what they're doing is just meditating and being. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road, where we step into our true spirituality, which is not just about being, or lack of spirituality, which is just about doing. But this is when the being and the doing merge together. What happens is that our being informs the doing, and then it becomes intelligent. Then it doesn't become about me, my personal self. How can I just make more money? How can I just gain things for myself? It becomes more intelligent, because now the being informs, because the more we get into our true self, that being informs, how do I move my hand, and how do I serve others, and how do I think. Being informs the doing, and then it becomes like aligned, you can call it, more harmonized. So that's why then we step into our life purpose, and still we can do things. We can do many big things, powerful projects and businesses. Why not? Because now it's more intelligent. But and it will be separate for each one of us. As I said, it'll be unique, you can call it. It'll be unique for each one of us, because that being, same being, will inform intelligently every person what doing needs to happen from their side, basically. So was that your question? Did I answer that?
I think so. Yeah, I think that this is more. But how do you realize? Because it's like, again, it seems like, how do you step into that? How do you understand that more? Perhaps you can give a
Yeah,
practical way.
perfect. So now we can talk more about like how to recognize our true self more. Like, we have talked about quite a lot of spiritual stuff, like, okay, recognize your true self. This is what you want. This is your ultimate life purpose, all of that. So yeah, how do we go about realizing who we are? This is the ultimate $1 billion question. So, well, the first thing we can always do is to want that. If we don't want it, it's just not that easy then. So the more we want to know ourselves, so this is something we have to do ourselves. Like, I can only want for myself. I cannot want for you. I cannot want for anyone. If I raise my willingness, then only can I go in that direction. So first of all, we all need to separate individually want it. Okay, I want to know my true self. What is this guy talking about? I also want to know that. So now that you're listening, anyone who's listening to this, if you have no clue what I'm talking about, just say to yourself, okay, I'm open and receptive, and I really, really, really want to know what he's talking about. Who am I? What is my true self? Now, once we have planted that seed, everything will come in your way. Now, I will still give you some more steps, but actually, I don't really have to do that, because once we have desired something, everything will be aligned. You will find that perfect book. You will find that perfect teacher. You will find that perfect YouTube video, which will give you that direction. So, this is all about wanting. Now, still, I will give some more practical steps, but without this first step, nothing really happens. So, the second thing is to, once we have wanted it enough, is to, you can say, practice finding ourselves. So this we can do by, one of the great things we discussed was meditation. And meditation doesn't have to be like 20, 30, 1 hour, 20, 30 minutes or 1 hour meditation. As I said, we can also do like pockets of meditation in between, where what we want to essentially do, this is what we want to do, because there are many guided meditations, and I also guide different kind of meditations. But essentially, the best meditation you can do by yourself, no guided meditation needed, is to recognize your awareness, that you are aware and just witnessing. Just do that. And doesn't matter how much the mind is monkeying around or how many things are going on. Yes, it is helpful if you don't have much stuff going on. It's easy to just be silent and just like be peaceful. It's easy. But even if you're in chaotic positions, like, oh yeah, this is going to shit and everything is just flying around, no, just recognize that I am aware. And this is a practice also, because initially you will have like, what am I going for? But just like right now, as I'm speaking, you can also recognize the fact that you are aware in this moment. And in this moment, you're always aware. And why we want to do that? Because when we become aware of our own self, you can call it, then this is we are recognizing that it's not the monkey mind that we are. It's not the body that I am. It's really the awareness that is registering everything. And all your mental thoughts, all your emotions, all your sensations, everything is witnessed by this awareness. Now, this is the simple thing that we need to come back to all over again and again, again and again. Okay, no matter what I'm feeling, I'm suffering, doesn't matter. I'm feeling pain, doesn't matter. Am I aware? Yes, I am aware. I'm aware. And this has no location. I am aware. I am aware. I am aware. I am aware. And you will see the ease that comes already from that. And the more we practice that, the more it'll just become obvious what I'm talking about. One of the pointers I can say is that you can always come back to I am. So before you say that I am your name or I am your job title, just come back to I am. This is also another pointer that we can start with. Okay, I am. Don't give yourself an identification. Don't give yourself some personality trait. Just come back to I am. And this is the same awareness, same I am that I have and that you have and that everyone has, which is why we are one, because it's this made with same awareness, same substance. So this is like really just summarizing everything. But of course, it's practice now. I've given you first want it, second practice this, what I just said. And then it just becomes more and more like you make the time, you understand what I'm saying. Like right now, maybe intellectually you understand something, but really what I'm really pointing to, it will come to you when you are taking the time to sit and just recognize awareness. And the more you do that, then you will say that, yes, this guy, what he's talking about is actually true, that I am I am. I'm not this or that. Like I can always come back to I am. And everything else changes. Notice also, your thoughts will change, your sensations will change, your emotions will change. Only the awareness, the substance, the thing that makes everything enabled doesn't change. It does not change ever. So find what doesn't change. This is also another thing people can find for. Find the aspect of you that never changes, because your body changes, your DNA also changes, everything changes. Find what doesn't change, and then you will find yourself.
And also the quality of your life changes when you recognize that. Somehow it becomes lighter to be and to negotiate life from that. And I often will give this example because you are speaking intellectually to the people who are listening here, perhaps, but it's spirituality is a more an experiential event where you actually feel that information is part of you. And I often speak to that, if I can talk to you for an hour about the taste of an apple, but unless you bite it, you don't know.
Right.
And the biting of the apple is the knowing. And basically, the suggestion here is that if someone is listening and it's intriguing, bite the apple, try it, and perhaps then you'll get a sense of what this is about. This is what I'm talking about, taking a step into it, because really, it's just about the quality of our life. A lot of people, for many people, again, the mind dismisses it. It says, "I'm not ready for this," or "This is not for me at this moment. I need to grow into this." And because the mind lives in time, it always, because there's no thoughts outside the time, mind is always in time. It does not want you to realize what is timeless, which is your ultimate, your awareness. And it pushes into futures, creates a future. In the future, I'll get this, rather than to say, no, now I can be here and now and experience it. And the moment you experience it, it becomes you, and no longer it's a thought. Maybe you can speak a little bit more to that experience.
Right. So as you said, like, yes, we need to really recognize for ourselves. That's why self-realization is self-realization. It's not you listen to someone and then you, okay, yeah, good, good. But it's really you recognize for yourself. So so then that's why, like, all thoughts, everything about it is really just a thought. Now, once we have recognized this more and more, there's no doubt left, because doubt is also of the mind. Everything else, every thought projection is of the mind. Only the knowing of that is true. Because everything else, like even thoughts, you can say that this thought is true, this thought is false. This, because this belief may be true, this belief may be false. But the knowing of your true self, there's no duality or polarity in that. It's just the knowingness that dawns through, because there's no opposition to that. So and once we know that more and more, then you, like the person who is trying to recognize it, you will know that you're recognizing. You cannot doubt it. You just cannot doubt it, because if you're doubting it, just keep going. Just keep going. And if you don't doubt it anymore, then you know that you are finding it. You have you are recognizing yourself. So yes, because as you also said, like, all these thoughts, projections are in the time, um, in the time space. But what we're trying to recognize is beyond it. Like, what is in the timeless state? What is in the state which is not about this or that, which is not about this thought or this thought, or any particular state also. So sometimes we feel this rather than that. Now, it's true that when we tap into that more, that from that we feel better. This is true. But the other way around, which is that how we feel, let's say sometimes we're feeling good because we're eating a nice meal. Sometimes we're feeling bad because of this, that doesn't affect the timeless. So, but when we tap into that awareness, then it does affect our life, as you said also, because now it's other way around. It's not going this way. It's coming from that, and then the whole flavor of our life changes. So then the timeless becomes comes into the experience, and the experience changes. Before, you can go through the same scenario and you can experience it completely differently, because you're not coming from that place. Because you're in your mind, you're thinking this and that, you have so many thoughts and yeah, this and that. But when you come from that, then the same scenario you can experience, but the experience is of much better quality.
I also want to add to that I feel that the journey, the spiritual journey, is not to add more layers and layers of knowledge. It's actually to shed. It's the shedding of those preconceived notions of what we think we are and who we think we are and what we think we should do, and recognizing that we already are. So it's really not like it's removing the layers of seeing that you are. And I think that often people think that I need to learn more or to add more. And this is why meditation is so interesting, because it's really just being and seeing that you are already it.
Yeah, you already are. Exactly.
Can you point more to that?
Right. So this is the funny thing also, that we are trying to meditate and trying to reach some there and there. It's actually coming back and recognize that I am, which, as I said before. And when we do that, then this is the essential primal knowledge, you can call it, which, and then from this knowing, no other mental knowledge comes close. Any spiritual text you can read, whatever, you can go to this monastery and learn so much and do this. But when you collapse everything, when you completely let go of the world, and doesn't matter where you're at, maybe you're sitting in India, maybe you're sitting in your on your couch, doesn't really matter, because you come back to I am, I exist, I'm aware. And in that is the gold that we're looking for. It's actually not nowhere in no text, spiritual text, no guru, nothing actually. It's really coming back to that. And from that comes the true self. It shines forth more and more. So yes, it is, as you said, it is a stripping away of knowledge. Doesn't mean that we cannot read spiritual books, doesn't mean that we cannot understand things, but that's a separate domain. That's not recognizing our true self. This is just learning more things. Just like you learn more about, I don't know, like cooking, for example. So you do learn about spirituality. But if you want to know yourself, self-realization and spirituality, you can also separate that. Learning about spirituality is one domain, which could be nice, like it can be a hobby. And self-recognition or self-realization is another thing, which you have to do by yourself. It's not a hobby. It's just actually recognizing yourself. So yeah, this very important distinction that you can either pursue spirituality as a hobby, or you can recognize yourself and then continue your search for whatever knowledge you can do. But actually, true self, what we're actually looking for, is not existing in any of them. You can take pointers from them, but you're going to have to recognize that, yes, I am. And that's it. But you're going to have to do that. It sounds simple because it is simple, but we have to do that. This is the funny thing, is that it's the simplest thing because we are already that which we're looking for. Like, it's the simplest thing. It's like right now, what is speaking is that, like where this coming from is that, but yet we have to recognize, okay, wait, what? I am that. And because like what is like what are we looking for? Let's say we're looking for God, for example. And now we're looking for God, maybe in an idol, maybe up in the sky, maybe in some textbook, Bible or whatever, or in my dreams when I say, oh, Jesus. But okay, where is God? And then when you do that and you stop looking anywhere else, you see that God is all there is. God is the one operating. God is the one speaking through me. God is the one listening through your ears. God is the one recognizing itself when it does that. God is the one always in action. So, or you can say yourself, true self, God, same thing. So this is, I'm giving pointers. It may be becoming intellectual for some people right now, but see what I'm trying to say, and try to get the pointer and then inquire for yourself. This is what I would like anyone to do, is to really take what I'm saying and don't just say like, okay, yeah, I get you, but more so like, really, okay, I'm really diligently gonna try out what this guy is saying. Because whatever it is one analogy also, like I think it's a story or something, short story, where a fish is swimming in the water and fish is looking for the water. It's like, and it's asking other fishes, where's the water? I want to go, I want to find the water. I want to find the water. And it's swimming in the water. It's kind of like the same thing. We're looking for our true self. We're looking for God. We're looking for the creator in some outside experience or state or this or that. But it's the one which is looking, is the one which is basically, who is looking, who is searching, who is trying so much. So, but these are things that come more and more when we actually ourselves look for that.
One caveat to it is because the word God often creates some objections because it seems very like it comes from a religious place. And I like to use the word the universe or the soul of the world, or something that is not as loaded as the word God, because it's often kind of repels people from understanding it.
Yeah, true. Yeah, like we don't have to use the word God. God is just a word. When I say God, it's not some entity sitting somewhere or any religion context whatsoever. Really, like we really need to also like take out the stigma out of the word God, because God is like, yeah, and I understand people have glorified it, people have made it something, and some people have a very loving relationship with that, like like a religious relationship with that. Some people are like repelled by that because some like how the way people treat it. But really, God, when we say God and we take out of all this stigma and like whatever we think about it, then God is essentially the same thing as you call it universe, or you call it the true self. It's all there is, and everything is basically that. So you can also replace it with everything. When I'm talking about God, I'm talking about everything, like looking for everything.
Mhm.
And you can call it source. Source is actually a very nice word. I like source because it just points you to that. Like, what is your source, or what is the source of everything? So then you cannot say that, okay, like let's say my this whole thing is made of something, and the wooden piece is also made of something, but then this is the element of that table, which is wood. This is the element of my body. But then what is the source of that? What is the source of wood itself? Is the same source of everything.
Hmm. I recently saw a video where they discuss, and I think it kind of relates to what we're talking about, the simplicity of how things are, where they discuss the existence of God, and they discuss it in the context of the Big Bang and the evolution. And after that, this made me realize that it's so simple. The question is, okay, what created that Big Bang? Where does it come from? It's never really asked. The moment you ask that question, you see how simple it is to say that perhaps there's something greater than what we see, but it's just so simple to ask that question, but never been asked. It's like there's must be some. The mind says must be some scientific explanation to that, how everything was created, which even the greatest scientists, the greatest atheists in the world, have no answers to. So, and they believe that the answer perhaps will come. But then you just ask yourself in a more simple way, but how from nothing came something? Um, and you may come to this realization that it's so simple, that it's so magical. To even that question is like, I mean, I'm trying to speak to that question, holds a lot of barriers and mental, like, no, wait a minute, let me just think about it for a moment. This is not as simple as it seems. Why do you think that is? Why there is so much mind into that realization, so many layers?
Well, this is the game that we're playing. Is it's like mine is like the gift and also the boon. It's like it can help us with intellectual understanding and stuff, whereas it can also like take us away from what we're looking for. So this is what you're asking, yeah? Like why mind?
Yeah.
It's, yeah. So that's why mind is the tool, and because for example, animals, they don't have that much of intellect available that they can realize themselves, but they also don't have the downside of that, which is excessive thinking, overthinking, stressing in that way. Like, of course, when a lion is chasing them, they will run away, but they're not like thinking about finances or doing that. Like, they're not doubting themselves or something like that. So that's why, like, as humans, it's a gift, and this is a double-edged sword. Basically, mind is a double-edged sword, and this is why, in order for us to gain mastery, this is the game that we play as humans, is of self-mastery, or you can call it spiritual mastery. um, is to use that mind to collapse the mind in that regard, that it recognizes the source of it. So then, um, we can use it, or we can get lost in it. So this is then our mastery. This is the work that we do. This is why we meditate. Otherwise it'd be so easy. Like, yeah, of course, I'm that. Like, I'm what I'm looking for. But with the mind, it gives us a challenge. And this is a beautiful thing, actually. Like, then now we have a spiritual journey. Otherwise, there's no spiritual journey. It's just like that.
Mm.
So that's nice. I mean, I like it. And
I
we
would
can
like,
embrace it. We can embrace it also. Like, we don't have to say, oh, mind is the enemy. We don't have to take it like that. We just say, oh, yes, mind is a double-edged sword, and now I can use it, or just become like lost in it.
I would like to speak to that challenge, and to perhaps, as we are ending this conversation, practically, to speak to the mind that says, if you are thinking about, if this is of interest to you, what we're talking about, perhaps start with like the simplest of meditation is just take 2 conscious breaths and just be, and then allow yourself to just enjoy those moments of quieting the mind, stopping for a moment the chain of thoughts that run through our lives all the time. I do that through, perhaps sometimes smelling a flower. You just don't add any thoughts to it. You just be in those seconds of smelling a flower, and then perhaps afford to yourself a 1 minute meditation where you say, I can do 1 minute. I can be quiet 1 minute, and then observe that it's really hard to quiet those thoughts, and be a witness to those cessation of thoughts that cannot stop, and say, wait a minute, who is doing that? Why am I overthinking? Why am I thinking when I want to be quiet? Something creates those thoughts. Maybe it's not me. Who am I? Who is this person who's thinking? Who is that person who's not thinking? And maybe then uh, advance. Perhaps maybe you can give the second or the third step after that. Where do we go from that if we want to be practical?
Well, I would say keep inquiring. Or so there are two ways to inquire. One is, okay, who is the thinker, or who am I? Like, who is the one thinking, or who is um not thinking, or as you said, like, where is this coming from? Like, what's the source of that? Like, this is one way of inquiring, and just keep doing that. Keep doing that. Okay, another thought. Where's, like, who's the source? What's the source of that? Where is this is coming from? Who is thinking? Like, do it with each thought over and over again, so that it's like kind of like a sharpening of the knife. Do it over and over again until more and more it just dawns, who am I? Or we can take the other approach, which is, who am I not? So this is the other approach where you say, okay, I'm not this hand. Am I? No, because I can observe it. Now am I my thought? No, because I can observe my thought. Am I my emotion? No, because I can observe my emotion and it doesn't stick with me because it also comes and goes. So this, like, I'm not this because it either comes and goes, or I can observe it. So if you can observe something, or if it comes and goes, that's not you. So keep going. Okay, that's not me. That's not me. That's not me. Oh, I feel better now. I feel more in peace. But that's not me. That's not me, because I can feel peace getting a massage also. So, and it comes and goes. So that's also not me. That's also not me. That's also not, because then I can observe it. I can sense it. I can feel it. That's not me. And at the same time, it comes and goes. So that's not me. That's not me. That's not me. And keep going until it dawns on you. So this is what I suggest. And as I said, feeling peaceful from the inside out is great, because you know that when you're coming from that, you will naturally feel peaceful. So it's not a vice versa thing, that if you feel peaceful, that means you're tapped into that. But if you're tapped into that, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel peaceful, because that is the nature of that. And you can feel peaceful normally in any way. As I said, you can get a massage also. Uh, yeah, this is just like one thing I wanted to touch upon, that if you feel peaceful doesn't mean that you're there. Don't focus on your sensations. Don't focus on how you feel. Just find yourself, and that everything else will be a side effect. Like everything that we look for, like peace and ease in life, that is all side effect. Just find yourself by what I suggested. Either two ways or do both at different timings. Like, who am I? Where's the source of that? Da, da, da. Or who am I not? No, this is not me. This is not me. This is not me. Not me. Not me. Not me. No, 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 not me. This is still not me. Oh, I feel better. Not me. Keep going.
Hmm. And of course, to do it with no effort, which is hard to understand at first, but just relaxing into it. And meditation
True.
is not about putting any effort. Um, and if you have to feel like you have to put effort into it, what is the trick? Sometimes the mind is
Yeah.
so strong.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny because it is really you can call it, there is wanting, there is desiring, but there's no effort. So which is why you, once you want it, you just allow it. So that's what it is. You ask and then you allow. In the same way, you inquire. That's also what you can call it. Don't make efforts. Just inquire. Inquire and then let it come to you. Let the realization come to you. Let the understanding come to you. So it's really about allowing, opening, relaxing into it. But first, yes, desire it, want it, inquire it, and then let it go. This is what we do. Don't make efforts. Like, don't make it like, oh, wait, I have to make more effort. I have to sit back again in a concentrated same position. I cannot move my leg. No, just like completely forget about your leg. Just just sit, yes, and inquire, and then completely relax into that and allow it. It will come. It's coming. It dawns on you more and more. So yes, it's like collapsing the duality between concentration and relaxation.
All right. Thank you for this. I feel this is a good place to stop. We will have more episodes of this Simplifying Spirituality where we discuss more topics. But thank you for your time, Prakhar, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.